So let's start at the end. Christina's just come back from Singularity University. Who's familiar with Singularity University? A number of you. Singularity University, their mission is to work with leaders in the world of exponential technology who want to solve humanity's grand challenges. These are people working on incredible technology, from rocket ships to mining asteroids to virtual reality, artificial intelligence. And Christina just came back from that conference where she actually spoke to a group of these leaders. She ran her own group with a group of these leaders. That's fucking crazy, right?
I can't sounds, yeah.
Let's take you back to that. Take them back to that phone call on the salon. So, I was working in a salon with Bay, and we were working on what's Bay's mission. Why is she here? What's her purpose? And something that she said made me think of Singularity University. And I read out to her from the website, this is their mission. We work with leaders in exponential technology who solve humanity's grand challenges. And that resonated with her. It wasn't quite her mission, but it resonated. It was the one call Christina couldn't make. And so she listened to the recording of the call. And she called me afterwards and said...
You posted in our Facebook group, Bay's mission is to da-da-da-da, and I looked at that, I was like, oh, no way, that's mine. Wait a minute, hold on. And I had read The Singularity is Near maybe 10 years ago or 8 years ago. I've been, a Trekkie my whole freaking life. I'm a total science geek, and it never dawned on me that the people that, I was just speaking with someone a few minutes ago, that I could actually serve the people that are doing the things that really make me excited. Really, really. And then I saw that, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've been looking at Singularity programs, like, this is my world. That's mine. And so it's like, wait, me too. And a few phone calls through, we got the distinction between what I'm doing and what Bay's doing. And it was really scary because it's like, well, I'm used to working with people doing these sorts of things. Why would people in that world want to work with me as I haven't gotten a PhD in rocket science, right?
So let's take you through the conversation. So this is what happened.
Yeah.
We start this conversation and we draw out, this is what Christina wants to do. And we come up with this idea. I coach leaders who work with exponential technology who want to solve humanity's grand challenges. And that was it. That's just this, yeah, absolutely, that's what I want to do. So as soon as we came out with this distinction around who Christina is and what she does, I went, oh my God, one of my closest friends works at NASA. He does exactly what you're talking about. And she went, oh, can you introduce me? And you feel Christina's energy. When she's excited, she's so bubbly and effervescent, and she was like, oh my God, can you introduce me? And I said, no way. Because I want to know if I'm introducing two people, they're both going to call me afterwards and say thank you. And I said, if I introduce you to this guy right now, you're going to call me afterwards and say thank you, and he's going to call me and say, who was that woman? She just sucked the life out of me trying to find out what I do and trying to sign me as a client. And she got it. And I said, look, go and do your due diligence. Go and do your work. Here's his name. Find out about him. Read every article he's ever written. Watch every video he's ever made. Learn about this world you want to step into. And then come back and let's talk.
Okay, so then you also said, keep track of everything that you do, right? Like he was forward looking enough to say, start writing a list of every step that you take to see what happens as you create this client and you're creating what you're creating. I was like, all right. So I started writing it all down, which was really interesting. And I took photos for you guys.
She'd text me every few days with like, here's what I'm doing, here's what I'm doing. So there was an idea that there may be something valuable in this. I thought it'd be more about insights for Christina. It turns out we can actually share it. Yeah. So we don't know what's going to happen in this conversation right now. We're playing, we'll see where we go. But feel free, go ahead. She's got
I got some pictures of it.
Yeah.
So, right, I just started writing it all down. And writing it all down. And I just kept writing it all down.
So go back 2 pages, because I just saw Scott Cody's name on that document.
Yeah.
Who was in the last intensive when Scott came and talked in front of the room? So Scott had worked with NASA So here she is, she's on a mission. She sees a man who's in that world and knows people in that world and says, I got to speak to him. This is how it happens. When you get clear on your purpose, it looks like, oh my God, there's all these opportunities opening up to me. I remember you saying, there's someone in my family who has a connection for me. There's a friend who knows somebody.
All of a sudden, yeah, it was really crazy. Like, once I got clear and I started saying out loud that this is what I want to do or this is what I'm doing or whatever, I had a client whose next door neighbor is a rocket scientist, and I had another person, and all of a sudden people on Facebook were like, oh, hey, here. And all of a sudden it seemed like my entire world was surrounded by people in exponential technologies, whereas, the month previous, it felt like I was in a desert. But no one would have known to share those things with me. And even if I had said it without, in a kind of way, no one would have cared. But because the click had happened, this is my mission, I will do anything to make this thing happen, people felt it. And, oh my goodness.
So let me draw out two distinctions. I talked yesterday about having a mission so fucking powerful that nothing will stop you. Here's a woman who's on a mission. Nothing's going to stop her. She's willing to risk being embarrassed, people saying no, because she's found a sense of purpose.
Yeah. So I started keeping track of all these things. So I started, sending him things. Look, I read this article, and I checked this thing out, and now I know everything.
Read it out. Read it out loud.
I requested a conference paper he wrote in 2013 about preparing for humans at Mars. We'll see if he gives me access through whatever that is, that ResearchGate thing. And he has a son who just started college, figured that out on Facebook. And his most recent thing I could find that he's working on is a mirror satellite that's a collaborative program with Caltech and the Surrey Space Center, and the launch is planned for sometime in 2016. That's his planetary small sat
this
stuff.
guy.
Right? And I'm showing him that this is what's happening. I'm at the dentist office. I picked up a book called How NASA Builds Teams. I wanted to know from the inside, in that organization, what are they doing now? What are the holes? And what's going on? So I'm not reinventing the wheel, right? And so, every minute counts, right? I'm, waiting for the dentist. Look, Rich, this is sort of funny. And this is where Rich goes, save these texts. It's hilarious.
But she's in the dentist. And she's on fire with her mission. Nothing's going to stop her. How many of you have a mission right now where it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're in touch with that mission, and nothing's going to stop you? She was on fire.
It's so easy. Once you get to that place, this isn't hard work anymore. This is just fun. This is the funnest thing I could be doing right now is reading this book, right? So then I added 2 slides in here as a little example of astonishing coaching, really great coaching. So he sees all of this effort that I'm making, right? This is genuine and real. So we had come up in one of our conversations about how a project for me to be working on that would be really fun, really useful, and also a really great way to have me talk to people is to write a book. So the book is called It's Not Rocket Science: How the Soft Skills of Leadership Are Often the Hardest. And through that project, I've really managed to speak to some incredible people. So out of nowhere, one day, Rich texts me that. It's the cover of my book. Isn't that cool? He spent, 40 minutes making that just to surprise me. This is a real thing. Keep going. That's how that felt, getting that from my coach. And it was really funny because you can't read it there, but at the top, he put up a quote. He quoted Colonel Chris Hadfield. Does anyone know who he is? Right. He's a Canadian commander of the ISS who did the David Bowie. Anyway, he was up in space. He's a Canadian hero, astronaut. As though he had written me a thing because I'm Canadian. And I wrote back to him, oh, that's hilarious because I met him. That was really, really cool. And what he had said, I had asked him, what did you notice that was different about you after you came back, after the first time you were up in space from before you left? How had you changed as a human being? And he really stopped, and he thought about it. And he said, there's no more them. The concept of them is gone. I can pretend make it happen, but it's gone, which was really beautiful. Anyway, so I shared that with him. And
so pause for a second.
Yeah.
Go back to the book cover. It wasn't that I was trying to create a clever a beautiful book cover or anything. I did this quickly online with some images and some text. I wanted to show her possibility. I wanted to have her step into her power. And seeing her name on a book has her feel her power. When people say, what are you up to? She can say, I'm writing a book. It's for people who work in this world of exponential technology. It's called It's Not Rocket Scientists, and it's about this idea that what we call the hard skills are actually the easy skills. And what we think of as the soft skills are the hardest skills. Any of you ever worked in an organization or coached people in an organization? Every organization struggles with communication and relationships. And we call that the soft skills. So these guys are rocket scientists, but we know that they're struggling to relate to one another. Of course they are. They're the fucking geeks, right? They know how to immerse themselves in their computers. They don't know how to communicate. This is this woman's gift. So by creating that cover for her, I helped it feel real for Christina. This is what I'm doing. She's able to say to people, when you say, what do you do? I'm writing a book. There's power in that.
So the book, and then this is where things this is interesting, because as all this action is happening, my brain is making new connections and starting to think even bigger than that. What do I really want? So I said on a text to him or on a call to him that I run a community for coaches. I'm used to that. I've run communities for people around intimacy. I love running communities. And I could feel how this thing's bubbling in. It's like, one day I'm going to be running a community for these leaders. Like, that's really what I'm going to kick ass at. So we have a little group of Rich and Tony and Mark, they're in the room, and he wrote that about me to them.
So I heard her put her desire out into the world, and people put their desires out into the future. One day, hopefully, fingers crossed, if I'm lucky, with a following wind going downhill, there may be, just maybe, I like to speak the world into reality, because our word creates our world. So I spoke it into reality. I wrote, hey, Christina is running a community of leaders who build exponential technologies to solve grand challenges. I had her step into it. I had her own it.
I'm literally creating the future with this text. Save it.
Oh, yeah.
Saved it. So that I don't know when that was. Is there a date on that? That was April 20th. Okay, that's April 20th. So more proving. Look, there's a book. More book stuff. Like, this is a while. This is 2 months, 3 months of really, truly going after this thing relentlessly.
So look what happened, though. Her text is sending me this book. She said, wow, there's a book about this stuff. And I write back to her and say, there's a book about that, Christina. It's called It's Not Rocket Science. I keep trying to show her, no, you are creating this. Because we can't do it for ourselves, right? That's why we have coaches. That's why we are coaches. We can help our clients see things that they can't see. We can be that close to them and not see them.
Okay, then you see the next part.
I don't know what's coming next.
So.
Singularity University? Or?
No. You're... So the next part is we get on a call in our salon, and he goes, I forget how he put it, but basically, I have something to tell you.
Oh, about your client?
Yeah.
New client. Okay.
Yeah.
So this friend of mine is in my... I don't want to personalize it too much. So the friend of mine who works at NASA, I'm talking to him, and he talks about the fact that he's looking for a new coach. Had a coach for about 20 years, looking for a new coach right now. Also been going through some relationship challenges. This is a woman who's an expert at working with men around relationships. So I say to him, because now she's done the work, right? Now she's done it. Now I know I can make a referral. So when he says to me, apparently out of the blue, I'm looking for a coach, I say, well, it's interesting you should say that. I know a woman who works with leaders in the world of exponential technology who are solving humanity's grand problems. And he goes, wow. His eyes open wide. And I say, and she happens to also work with men around relationships and sexuality. And he goes, oh my God, that's just what I need. I said, I know. Because I did, all right? He's my friend, I know. I said, would you like me to introduce you? Yes, please, he says. So now I call her up and say, hey, I'd like to make a referral to you.
And so my energy went through the fucking roof. I got so excited. This was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. Oh my God, I'm going to talk to a guy at NASA, right? Like, and this is the guy who whose plan for how we're going to get to Mars, because Obama said we're going to Mars in 2030s, he's the one who created the plan on how we're going to do that. Like, he's for real dude guy at NASA. This is so exciting, so exciting, so exciting. So I have, we do the thing and a powerful conversation and another powerful conversation, and it's wonderful, and the process is going along. And in here, in my body, this is still the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me. And as he's talking on our calls, I'm translating. He's like reading me emails he's getting and wanting coaching on meetings he's going to and things that are happening. And I'm like, we're talking about banking right now. This is accounting, this is not NASA. We're not talking about satellites. Because I was so excited. And in the whole enrollment process, the power was just sort of like, he was up here, and I was like trying to like, wow, you're awesome, maybe. I could fake make you believe that I'm good enough to be your coach, right?
Who's had that experience?
So Rich is picking up on this. And this is his response to me, because I'm like, I don't know what to do. And he didn't write back to some text. And should I text? What do I text?
So I'll read out what I said to her, so if you can't see it. Because she was panicking, all in this self-doubt, and he was up here and she was down there. And I wrote, I've given you a powerful motherfucker of a personal intro to each other. If you both trust me, you'll follow up. Makes a difference. Some of my instinct even says, if I were you, I'd wait about a week to let him follow up first. It's like dating sometimes, right? Play hard to get. Just slow down a little bit. You know what you would do if you were already oversubscribed. If you were already successful, what would you do? That's the place to come from. If you already had a waiting list of clients, you wouldn't call back immediately. So that's what I was trying to get to be in that place.
And it worked. And now I have a client at NASA, which is really, really great. Thank you. That was awesome. Yay!
So feel her energy. It's funny with coaching, right? Because she's saying thank you, and at the same time I'm thinking, well, I didn't do anything. But this is what we do in coaching, right? All we have to do is offer people tiniest of shifts in the way they're thinking, and everything changes. And on one level, we don't do very much. On another level, it's okay to take credit for everything they ever do. So it's a paradox, and both are true.
So that was the most exciting thing in the whole wide world. And notice, do you guys notice, all of the times that I spoke into the world, I coach people on exponential technologies and et cetera, I hadn't actually had a client then yet that did that it was doing that. This actually was the first, and yet it was months of saying it as though it's true to the public that made it happen, right? Often, I know I've done this, is we wait until then it's true, and then I'm allowed to say that I'm awesome. But no, you say it first, and people believe you, and the doors begin to open. You're allowed.
So there's a step that comes first.
Yeah.
Actually, you start speaking it into the world, and the world will come and meet you. The first one is, like you drop in. This is what I do. It's the story in my book, saying out loud for 11 months, it's $20,000 or $25,000 a year to work with me. 11 months of saying that out loud. What does it cost to be coached by you? It's $25,000 a year. And nobody said yes, and then I got creative, and people paid different rates. And finally, somebody who I just kept coaching powerfully for that whole time, someone says, end of a coaching session, well, how do I pay you? And on the inside, I was like, oh my God, I don't know. Do you write a check? Do you pay? I don't know. I had the presence of mind to say, write a check. But the world is literally created. And that's what Christina's been doing. And I've been helping her just to keep owning who she is and speaking into the world, this is what I do. I coach leaders in exponential technologies. Now she does.
Okay, so there are three, as I was putting this together, it's there are three things that I really, really, really hope you guys get. You leave here and you really freaking get this. Remember all those baby steps? It's not like if we just came up here and it's I didn't have a client at NASA. Now I have a client at NASA. Now, and then there's the next part of the story you don't know yet. It's and now this, and it's it looks like I went from here to here, right? And it's intimidating. And if any goal I've put forth to myself, there's this well, that's impossible to make that jump. I'm just not even going to try. it was like I subscribed to all the magazines in the industry. I found out what all the conferences were. I talked to Scott Cody. I went to dinner with so-and-so. I don't know what the frick I'm doing. I'm going to call my 4PC tribe. And I had a conversation with Janine. Like, every little, it's just these tiny, tiny little steps. Just a lot of them that make this happen. This isn't magic. So
let me just pause. Again,
yeah.
You're going to get enrolled in the story and want to listen to the story. Just keep popping out of the story to say, what did I just hear she did? She's got a tribe of people around her. She reached out to somebody. She saw this guy on a stage and said, hey, let me speak to you. Do you have a moment to speak? Capture these things because it makes it real. Otherwise, it looks like a miracle. Wow, she's been coaching a few years and now she's coaching someone at NASA. No, it's everything that went in between is what counts. It's just like yesterday with the gravestone. There's the day you were born, there's the day you die, and there's that little dash in the middle. And that's all that counts, that little dash. Mm-hmm. We're drawing out that dash right now and making it real for you. So you can see how she created this.
Okay. So then the second thing is, we talked about earlier, you gotta be in your frickin' mission and your passion and your love. Like, you just have to be in love with it. And then it comes. And this is the third one.
So I'm going to catch that one. Because it can be too trite sometimes. Do what you love and it will follow, whatever. It's like, not always, and it can be fucking hard work. And sometimes the thing that you love isn't going to bring you what you're looking for. It might not bring you the money. There's some of you in this room, there are many coaches out there in this world who love coaching, but there's some of the pieces around it that go around becoming a prosperous coach or a coach who has a business through their coaching, that they're not willing to, they don't love that piece. So they won't ever be a professional coach. It's just seeing that distinction. It's not just do what you love. It's find something you love and keep following it and see where it leads you.
And then get yourself, show up. Just show up and try things. Even the things that you think you're not allowed to do, or no one will let you do it, or whatever, just show up. And that'll create this, it looks like you got lucky, but it's not that. You just created a whole lot of opportunities for something lucky to happen. You create your own luck in that way. So there was someone let me know, there's a conference at the UN where it's all exponential technology people, but you need to be sponsored or referred by one person to get into this conference at the UN, which is like around the corner from where I used to live. And that was really, wow, cool. Well, the person who told me about it, would you refer me? And they were reluctant to do so for their reasons, which I totally understood. But I really wanted to go to this thing. So I went to their website, and they had their little application to get to go. And I just filled it in. And the spot where they said, who is referring you? I just left it empty. Like, I don't know, but whatever, enter, right? I got into the slot. I got in. I got to go. So I went to the thing. I am not an extrovert at all. In these kinds of rooms I am, because this is my world, the coaching world. But like, now I'm in rooms with scientists and CEOs and the people really that are at the cutting edge of stuff that's happening on the planet that most people don't even know. But I went to the evening bar thing after the thing where the people were conglomerating and drinking that I don't even do because, fuck it, I'm here, and I got into the room. And I'm sitting there, and this astrophysicist comes and sits beside me. And because he felt sorry for me sitting there by myself. He was being a nice gentleman. And we were talking, et cetera, and it's like, hey, by the way, I'm writing this book called It's Not Rocket Science, whatever. Would you be willing to talk to me for 20 minutes at some point after this thing about this book? And he's like, yeah, sure, I'd talk to you. And he's really connected. He presented his paper after his PhD to Stephen Hawking. Like, he knows Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, he's for a real guy. Yay, he's going to talk to him about his book. That conference is over. I go to, then I find out there's this other conference that's even more intense to get into. You need 3 people to refer you to go to this one, because at this one, it's called Nexus. This one is for all the social entrepreneurs who get in, and then all of the sons of the Kennedys and daughters of the Rothschilds and people walking around, the money, basically. the 20 and 30-something-year-olds with the money on the planet show up to meet the people who are doing good things to see where they can create magic. So you can't get in there. People have badges that, like, Queen such and such, okay? Is walking around.
It's not a metaphor.
No. Like, really. There's like a number of queens. But I really wanted to go to this conference, but I couldn't get in. There was no way. So one of my clients is a CEO, and he is working with this billionaire. And they were both going to be, he writes to me the day before that conference happens. He writes, hey, I'm going to this thing. I'm going to be a speaker at it because of the work they're doing. Do you want to come? It's like, yeah, I want to come. Yeah. He's like, can you get me in? He's like, yeah, I'll get you in. 2 hours later, he's like, I can't get you in. But, you can come into the city. I used to live an hour outside of New York. Come into the city with me at 8 a.m. We could have breakfast at my hotel. Maybe this billionaire guy will come and join us. I don't know, 50-50, whatever. So I had it in the back of my mind, this thing that I'm telling you guys. Just show up and you never know, right? So I show up for breakfast thank you, Helen Appleby. She taught me last year at this intensive how to show up professionally and powerfully as a woman. Like, it's a different game, kind of in a different context. In my most professional attire, red suit jacket, etc., we're having breakfast. The billionaire shows up. We're having better breakfast. We're talking work. I'm really not going, oh my God. We're doing work. It's cool, and he's into it, and we have a good connection. And then it's time for them to go speak at this thing. And it's like, well, I can't come because I can't get in there. But, I'll come in the taxi with you. We can keep talking about what we're talking about. So I get in the taxi with them, and we arrive at the UN. And there are 2, basically, gates I need to get through. The first one is to be allowed into the building, right, to get through security into the building. We get out of the cab. The woman who's handing out the passes, she has the list of who's in, right? Handing out the passes, recognizes my client, recognizes this billionaire. I look like I'm a professional person with them. And she just hands me a pass. Like, it's just, here. Oh, hey, Bill, blah, here. Awesome, right? But I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but I can't get into this conference, into these rooms, because I'm going to need to get one of these badges with the name on it for them, right? That's the real, but whatever. So we get in, and I'm thinking this billionaire guy's going to do some trick or something. I don't know. And we walk up to the table with all of the name badges, including the Queen's. Like what? And my client says to the lady, oh, hi, we're here to speak. We're speakers, because there's 3. It's like, that's legit. Him and his billionaire, they're we, but I'm standing there, so she doesn't know. We didn't legit lie about it. And she goes, oh, we ran out of name badges, but these people aren't showing up today, so why don't I just take theirs and just flip them around and write your names on them? To which my client goes, okay, great, Christina, Berkley. The woman just wrote my name on it. And I got into the thing. That was the second one in a week that I got into that I wasn't supposed to get into, right? So now I'm starting to experience myself in these rooms with these people like I belong there. And I'm noticing how I'm actually not putting them on pedestals and how I belong there, Like, oh, this is the world I'm playing in now. And I actually have something to offer here. That's really interesting. So... again, let's make that real for you. How many of you have been to one of our events before where the first time you came, I don't fit in, these guys all know each other, I'm different, I'm the outsider. And then the second or the third time began to feel like, oh, this is my community, I fit in. How many of you have had that experience? So you get it. This is exactly the same thing. It looks different right now because it sounds like this incredible community. It's exactly the same thing. Keep showing up, and there comes a moment when you go, oh yeah, these are my people. So right around the time that this whole thing began, 3 months ago, before all of this, and I owned that these are the people I work for, I went straight to Singularity University's website and saw they had a conference happening. It was $3,000 to go to it. you had to apply to get in. I didn't think they'd let me in, but I did. And so I paid the money. And at the time, I had one CEO client. And it was a stretch for me at the time to write, because they're like, what do you do? What's your thing? To write executive coach, because I'm lying, I'm a fraud, that's not really true. I only have one CEO client. I didn't have the NASA guy yet. And, but...
Like there's a rule about how many executives you need to coach in order to be an
you're an
executive
coach, right? And... and Helen, just write the thing down. Just write it. So writing it down was, at that time, a big stretch for me. And again, speaking it as though it's true, right? So I get to, this conference happened last weekend. I get to San Francisco. I walk in, and they give me my name badge, which says executive coach. In this group of 1,400 absolute top-level cutting-edge people, walking around with a badge that says executive coach is like saying, I don't have a job. Like, it's just that's no good. There's a lot of judgment out there around what being a coach is.
Well, I'm going to say that's possibly true.
Okay.
It was true for her, which meant that's what she was feeling.
Okay. Fine, yes. Okay. All right. Anyway, yes. So.
No, this one's true, Rich. You ever have your clients who have their list of things that are not true, and then you help them to see that, I get it, that one's not true, that one's not true. No, but this one's true. I had a client say to me once, no, I get that all those things are not real, I see how I'm making them up, but this is about my mother, you haven't met my mother. Everyone has one thing, every one of us does, like, this one's true.
That means I gotta wear the executive coach badge at the next thing. Okay. So, but I was feeling really nervous about this, and I was just gonna hide it in my purse the whole time and not wear my badge. But I called up my 4PC people. Guys, I'm freaking out. And also, all these people are so scary, and what am I doing here? In the meantime, since the astrophysicist, like in the week and a half or 2 weeks since then, I got it in my head that, because I'd been listening to the conversations, and AI is really exciting to me. I used to have dreams about data when I was younger. And I was like 12 or something, and started talking. It was like, I'm going to be the one, and he's going to have feelings.
Do you guys know who she's talking about from Star Trek? Yeah, okay.
Come talk to me later if you don't know what I'm talking about. So anyway, so I was...
I got to capture that one. Because women always want to change men. They always like, I'll change it. It was the ultimate. This guy who was half robot is like, I'm going to have him finally have feelings. I love it.
Anyone who's been into an unavailable man understands. So when I was at that first UN conference, listening to the really cool conversations around AI, because that is really the thing that is happening right now, no one was having the conversation about what about the humans? What about us? As we get closer and closer and start implementing more and more of this technology, what is intelligence? How do we make sure that we develop it, design it, so that we bring the human along on the journey, and we don't lose something very integral to what it is to be us? I want to have this conversation exist. So I decided, because I got on the phone with that astrophysicist, remember? So we talked for about 2 minutes about this book, and then I was like, you know what? I can't talk to you about this, because really the thing that's really happening in the last 3 days that I'm really excited about, I think I want to start an institute about the human and AI partnership. And he goes, oh, that's amazing. Now he got excited. He's like, I've been thinking about this for a really long time, and I think this is really, really important, and why don't we get off the phone right now and do some research and get back on? Like, he just got into, like, all of a sudden we are having this institute. It's like, whoa, okay.
Didn't you text me and say, how do you start an institute?
Whoa. So, okay, I don't know what that means. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but this wants to happen. Okay, let's see what happens. It can fail and bomb spectacularly, but who knows, right? So he gets on board, and then I'm like, there's no Facebook group for this. There's all sorts of Facebook groups for artificial intelligence, but none about what about the humans. So I started a Facebook called the Human and AI Connection, and I posted it on my timeline that I started this group once. And Mike McDonald over here, he saw that. He didn't join the group, but he said, right, this is all speak it into the world. He said, oh, I know someone you need to talk to who might be interested in your thing. And he connected me with this woman. Oh my God. I can't even tell you what me and this woman are about to do because I'm just gonna keep that on download. But like, oh my God. So she's like a super, super insider in Silicon Valley who just really cares about this stuff, knows that it isn't happening and knows that it's important, and is just on my board of advisors, along with the astrophysicist, along with Teo, who's the shaman here. And there's an institute. So
let me pause you for a second, because
Yeah.
for the sake of time, I want to finish this piece.
Yeah.
So here she is, constantly speaking into the world what she's creating. Now you're looking at the founder of the Human AI Partnership. Human AI Partnership. She's the founder of this institute because she says she is, and it's now happening. And when you speak into the world, people say, oh, and someone makes a connection and something starts to happen. And so backtrack, right? She's at this conference and she's got this name badge saying executive coach. Remember, only a month before, she was like, I wish I could call myself an executive coach. That would be just, I'm not a coach, I'm an executive coach. Now I have one CEO client. Could I possibly I'm going to call myself an executive coach. Now she's here 2 months later, so much has happened because how she's showing up. Now she's like, I don't want to be an executive coach. That's not going to fit in here. So she texts me and says, they call me an executive coach. What am I going to do? And I text back and say, get some whiteout, remove that, and write on, I'm the founder of the Human AI Partnership. And she texts back, do you want to show the photo?
So I go to the help desk and I was like, is there any way you could change my name tag? And these are fancy name tags. And they go, oh yeah, what do you want to put on it? I was like, oh,
How many times do we stop from doing the most simple thing? How many people would have sat there, shied away from, my name badge is embarrassing, I'll put it in my bag, I won't say anything, and would have left that conference sad and frustrated because this is how the world is. I was lucky I got in, but then this is what happens. You don't have to be that way.
So they go, what do you want to put on it? So I said, I want to say founder and principal of the Institute for Human AI Partnership. That's a name tag I could walk around this group of people proudly and have something to speak and share and contribute, and I know I'm going to capture their interest and curiosity, and it's legitly true. This is who I am in this room. And they said, what do you want to put on it?
None of this is true. All of this is made up, and it's all legitly true at the same time. Because that's how anything was ever created. You know why you're here in this room? Because I made up one day we're going to have these intensives. That's why you're here. You know why you're here? Because Steve and I made up one day we're going to write a book together. Anything that was ever created was made up, came from an idea, and somebody put it out into the world.
So the guy goes, oh, that's interesting. The Institute for Human AI Partnership. Do you want a spot at tonight's unconference?
Which means, do you want to lead a small group of people? Guess what she says?
Yes. And there they are. Like that. There's one guy, he's on the ethics board at Intel. There's another guy at DARPA. There's some super, super, super researchers working on AI and unconditional love. There's the NASA dude over there. It was just like, and it tied for the most attended session at the unconference that night. And that text that he wrote, remember the one where Christina is a leader of this community? I'm speaking it into the world is true. Ta-da. Amazing. And it was all totally made up. From little tiny baby steps.
I wanted to tell that story this way because this is exactly how it's happened, from one conversation to the next, one text message to the next, one idea to the next, one fear and doubt to the next. As an illustration for each of you, that whatever you want is so much closer than you imagine. And what we've talked about today has been a mission so fucking powerful that nothing will stop you. And when you're on that mission, you're okay with failures. You're okay with mistakes. There have been so many moments of self-doubt here. That's what coaching's for. I think the most powerful words in coaching are, I believe in you. I believe in you. If your clients get just how much you believe in them, they show up in all sorts of extraordinary ways. Now, at some point, when you've said it enough, they begin to get, I believe in me. And they believe in themselves. And they don't need you anymore. You become unemployed, which is the mission of every great coach. I believe in you. And look what happens from that place. So let's put our hands together for Christina. This is it.